All right, hello, you web devs on a free code camp journey. In this video, we're going to be going over, looks like Camperbot's journey blog. We're going to be fixing some of the stuff that Camperbot has done to the blog post, and we're trying to make it better and fix the errors. And we're just going to go through it step by step. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Rob. I'm with PreCodeCamp, and this is where we go through modules from FreeCodeCamp, whether that be a lab or a workshop. We try to come at it from an instructor's point of view. So if that's something that interests you, then you are definitely on the right page, the right channel. And let's go ahead and dive into it. The only thing that we ask you to do is make sure that you like the video. That really helps out the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and dive in to see what we're going to be doing. Okay, so a real quick overview. I guess this is what we're going to be completing as a final project. And again, it just looks like we are diving just a little bit into just some normal plain HTML syntax, no real styling whatsoever. And maybe it's just going to be a lot of bugs where maybe it's missing a closing tag, or maybe the link isn't linked up properly. So I mean, we'll see what we're going to be given once we take a look at the bad code. So let's go ahead and dive into step number 1. Okay, so step number 1 here, it says Camperbot has created a coding journey blog page, and it looks like the page has some accessibility issues and bad practices. Your job is in this workshop to fix the issues of Camperbot, and it says the first set of errors that we're going to deal with is the use of headings. So in the prior lessons, it says you've learned that the best practice is to only have one H1 per page, and it looks like Camperbot used a few. And so it says leave the very first one, which is the welcome, and then go ahead and change the other ones. That looks like change the H1 elements to H2. That's a real simple one to kind of go through. It looks like there might be several of them that we have to go through on this. And so just going through, looks like the very first one, we have the H1 up here. And it is true that you only want to have one of those on there, not only for SEO, but accessibility as well. We're just going to go through, and we found an H1 here, and then we're going to have to do another, the closing tag has to match, right? So if you put an H2 over on the left side, you want to do it on the right-hand side as well. So we're going to go to the next one here. Stinking Camperbot, I tell you, he needs to join our community here so he knows what to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this last one, and hopefully that will update. You can see that the preview is updating as well as we're going through this. Let's go ahead and check our code. Maybe we missed one, but it looks like we didn't. So we're moving on to the next step. All right, we're on step number 2 in debug a coding journey blog page for debugger. And it tells us that in this step, it says that there's more issues, especially with the use of headings. And it says that there are 2 H4 elements that are used as subheadings, and a better practice would be to utilize an H3 element instead. So we're just going to go look for all these H4s that are in here. And what it is talking about is we have this div up here on my line 16, and below it we have an H2. So if we're trying to go with the order hierarchy, they're saying it's better practice for us to continue going down instead of skipping a heading level in order to, maximize our usage of accessibility, screen reading, and SEO, so that the way the browser knows where things are in the order. Another thing that I will always see students do is maybe they like the way that this text right here looks, and they will simply impose their own header tag. I mean, like they'll go and use another header tag element and wrap it around it just because they like the font style and how it's bolded and how it's the correct font size that they were looking for. And that's not a real good use case to arbitrarily put these header elements throughout your code if the only purpose for you doing it is to show emphasis just because you like the way that font looks. So hopefully that makes sense, is use them for what that purpose is, and it's making heading, it's making things come at you, and it's used for the organizational purposes. So let's go ahead and check our code. Congratulations, we're ready to move on to the next step here. All right, I just wanted to take a real quick break. If you are truly enjoying this coding experience for the video and you are looking for a community to kind of grow and learn from, we just launched this community a couple weeks ago. It is going to be a really great community, meaning that you can get your questions answered by people that are in there. You can take some of the courses that we already have in there. If you are part of the freeCodeCamp and you are looking to learn, of course, we have all those free videos on YouTube, but they're all organized here in this community. And did I mention it's free to join, free to ask your questions, and we have weekly kickoffs where we're talking about the new members and what kind of courses we got coming out next. So it's a real great way for you to connect with the community if you are truly learning to grow in this type of learning style. So love to have you. And now back to whatever step we're supposed to be on now. So here's step 3. It says in the second section, there's an H5 element that's being used. It would be much more appropriate if an H3 element was in there. So go ahead and change that H5 to H3. So again, down here, H5. And I think that what we're doing here is just trying to express to the new learner is, hey, there's a hierarchy whenever we're coming up with these header sections. And also it gives us really good practice starting out with understanding that concept of opening and closing of a tag and where does it start and where does it end. So anyways, let's go and check our code here. Congratulations. We are moving on to the next step. Okay, so step number 4, it says below the main title, we have a navigation section here that contains links, but we're missing the nav element that indicates, hey, this is where the navigation is. I mean, us as humans, we can see it, but for screen readers and things like that, it's really nice to have that semantic element that we want to wrap this entire thing with. So I'm just going to hit the enter key up here. I'm going to do nav, and that's going to be my opening portion. And down below is where I'm going to close it off. And so again, we're not going to see anything visually happen on this page. It's more or less for those screen readers. And obviously, when we look at things from a programming point of view, you can totally see where the navigation stuff is, because if we were missing this H2, like if the developer didn't include it, like how would we know that this is a navigation section? Well, as a coder, now I can come in here and I can say, oh, well, this is the nav section. It's in the nav semantic element wrapper. Okay, let's go ahead and check our code. Congratulations, we're moving on to the next step. Okay, so step number 5, it says in the blog page, there's a total of 3 blog posts. And I can see that here that we have the H2 here. There's blog post 1, 2, and then we have the last one down here, right? What does it want us to do? It says that instead of utilizing these divs, it would be better to utilize the semantic element to wrap each post. So let's go ahead and change the div element that wraps each one of these into an article. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go right above that post. This is the div that it's talking about. And you can see right here that it's going to be this div and then this div. So I'm just going to change that to article. And then I'm going to change the bottom one as well. All right. And then I'm going to go down to post number 2. I'm going to go to this div here and this div down here. Again, I know that they look really close, but it's going to be my line 35. And it should be yours too, unless they change things by the time I put this video together. And we're going to go down here for this last one. And hopefully you can see that now, even reading it from a developer's point of view, where, hey, where's the article? Where's an article at? Oh, it's right here. And before it had the word div on there. So it might have been harder to read it, but now we have an article that's clearly defining it in the code. The code readers are going to interpolate that as well as an article. And so it just makes it better all around. All right, let's go ahead and check our code. Congratulations, we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so step number 6, it says, since the entire section containing the blog post represents the main content of the page, this needs to be wrapped in a main element. This helps screen readers and other assistive technologies understand the structure of the page. So What it's asking us to do here is come up here, and then we're going to do main. And then we're going to come all the way down here to the end of our last article and do a closing tag for main. Okay, so let's go and check our code. Congratulations, we're ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so step number 7, it says for the last part of the workshop, there's just a few more changes that we need to have for the contact section at the bottom. The first change that it would like us to do is wrap that contact section inside of a footer element. This will help those screen readers identify this section as a footer. So what it's asking us to do, again, we're doing another semantic tag. We're not going to see anything, but it wants us to put footer up here, and we're going to come to the very end of this and close off the footer. All right, I think that's what it's wanting. Let's go ahead and check our code. Congratulations, 78% complete. We're almost there. So step number 8 of debug a coding journey blog page, it's asking us to do the following. It says right now, the footer section has an H3 heading, but it should have an H2 heading to maintain that proper hierarchy for the headings. So it's asking us to change this H3 to a 2. And then we're going to come over here and do the same thing. And let's go ahead and check our code. Congratulations. We're moving on to the next step. Step number 9, it says that the last change that we need to make on here is going to be to the email text inside of the footer. Now, in earlier lessons and workshops, you learned that you can utilize the mail to link, and it looks very similar to something like this, where it says email me at, and then we have this anchor tag followed by the text that appears on the web page. And then we have this special code in here, if I can get back to it, where it's the href, and we have that special thing on here called mail to : and then the email. So it says first start off by wrapping the camper bot, the email address here, and utilize the anchor tag with it. So this is where we're going to come in here, and we are going to do the anchor tag, and then I'm going to come over here and close it off. Okay, and we're not going to see anything blue quite yet for where we can click on it, but that is where our href comes into play. So we want the href, and we want to set that equal to, and this is where that mail to comes into play. So I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it inside the quotes that you see right there. And now if we scroll down here, we should be able to see it. And whenever we're utilizing the mail to, it will open up the person's default email application and try to send an email that way. Okay, might not be as widely used as you might think, but still, we can check our code and see what happens. Camperblog.io, mail to, let's see what it's wanting here. It should be wrapped inside of the anchor element. And to me, it looks like it is. So let's double check to make sure that looks like I have an extra space maybe, and that's what it cares about. There we go. We got it. All right. Submit to go on to the next challenge. What does that mean to me? It means that we finished. We made it to the end of this debugging workshop exercise that PreCodeCamp offered. And so if you made it to the end of the video, great. Thank you so much for watching. We learned a few things about the proper hierarchy with headers. We also learned about adding some semantic tags to make it not only more readable for you as the developer, but for those screen readers as well. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Take care.